Hello everybody, this is my first video that I'm doing, and I felt like I needed to do this video because of the recent presidential election and how many people in my community, the black community, are wondering or a little bit apprehensive as to how the situation will turn out for them. So I wanted to create this video to support the community into really being able to take this situation and really empower themselves, because that can happen. I know it can happen. And the stakes have been raised. So the empowerment has been raised as well. The community can take quantum leaps in terms of what it's able to do, what it's able to accomplish, how it's able to evolve. And that's what this video is about. It's the first one, and what I want to do is really give people a different perspective on how they look at themselves, how they look at the situation around them, how they look at life, how they look at the white supremacist structure that is embedded and ingrained into the fiber of this country. And also, most importantly, how to really use that in our favor. So let's get started. Now, the way that I'm going to cover this is I'm going to focus on the 12 keys. And it's the 12 keys for surviving and thriving in a Trump America. When you use these keys, when you use these tips, when these keys become the embodiment of what you do, how you approach life, it doesn't matter what regime, so to speak, that you're living under, you will thrive. And the reason for that is because you put yourself in front of different players. It automatically happens. I want you to realize that, while there is a lot of racism, racist behavior in the country, not everyone at every time is racist at the same time. So this is about positioning yourself in front of people that are willing to help you in the moment that you need help, in the moment that you need support, that suddenly volunteer information you need in the moment you need it. And this comes from how you project yourself. This comes from how we interact with each other, how we affect each other. We affect each other beyond the 5 physical senses. We affect each other on an energetic level. And I want you to understand, guys, we are very, very powerful beings. We're very sensitive beings. And we've been so jumbled up through the past trauma that we've experienced that we've forgotten that. We've lost touch with that. And that, we can get that back. We really can. We just all have to commit we want that back. We have to commit we want back who we are, who we truly are. And with that commitment, that will happen. And once you're truly who we are, the world is our oyster. The only reason we are in the position we are in is we've forgotten who we are. And on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment basis, we are distracted, we are reprogrammed, we are re-socialized, we are, repatterned into forgetting who we are. So, one, we need to be aware that is what's going on, so we can see it, and we can say, no, that's not I'm not going to absorb that. I'm not going to take that in. Because you do have that choice. You absolutely do. When you are aware, you absolutely have the choice of what you choose to absorb and become part of your subconscious, part of your psyche, and what you don't. When you're not aware, you have no choice. So these keys are about allowing you to become more aware as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to start covering these keys. The keys to surviving and thriving in a Trump America, and taking advantage of the stakes that have been raised. So this first key is called knowing the pure and divine ego. Now, what is that? What does that mean? That's about knowing who you truly are. And it's opening yourself up to realizing that if you look outside of yourself for anything, outside of yourself for permission, outside of yourself for self-worth, outside of yourself for defining who you are, anytime you do that, you are not in your pure and divine ego. You are in a state of being in your altered ego, in a state of wanting to be or feeling like you have to be in control and manipulation. Because when you're looking outside of yourself, you focus on what can you do to others? How can you affect your outside? What can you say? How can you act? How can you convince and control and manipulate others so I can feel safe, so I can have what I want? So that's what the dominant society is doing to the community, because they're in that fear. Everything, understand, everything comes from fear and anger. Um, um, that's where the supremacism and the racism comes from, fear and anger. So uh, just understand it's not personal. I know it feels like it looks like it, but it truly is not personal. It's coming from a disconnect from inside. This community just happens to be this scapegoats for it. And on a certain sense, well, I'll get into that later. I don't want to talk about that now. I'm going to focus on this first key, knowing the pure and divine ego. And this is about remembering that anything and everything you need begins from within inside of you. If you are looking outside, if it's important to you to look a certain way, act a certain way, have a certain set kind of sneakers or whatever, that is all external. When you value your self-worth. Now, it may mean you might like to wear a certain type of outfit because you feel good for you. And here's the difference. You would wear this outfit whether nobody else saw you in it or not. Okay? It's because it makes you feel good. It uplifts you. And so that's how you can tell if you're dressing for yourself or you're dressing for others. And that's just an example of looking outside of yourself. But there are many examples that we can discuss about how we as a community look outside of ourselves for who are we? Well, I'll take the latest thing. Look at the rap music, rap industry. That's been hijacked, and to the point where we have been subconsciously programmed as to who we are, as to what is urban culture. That did not come from us. That did not come inside of us. That's all been commercialized. It's all been systematically created and programmed and spoon-fed to us, I guess, for lack of a better word. And we bought it because we were not aware of what was going on. The pants hanging down. That's not from us. That's not internally a part of us. There's a lot of conflict there. It's subconscious. It's not, we're not aware of it, but that's not part of who we are. So again, knowing the pure and divine ego, looking inside of yourself, what truly brings joy to your life? What truly makes your heart and soul sing? What is it, that one thing or two, three things, whatever, two, three things that you would do all day and you would do without getting paid? That's who you are. And you will know it because it will ring true with you. You will feel it in your soul. You'll feel it in your gut. You will know it. That's the pure and divine. That's the pure and divine ego. That's who you are. And the first thing that you will need to do to begin reconnecting is stop watching TV. Be very, very conscious of what you listen to, the kind of music you listen to. Very conscious. Very conscious of the images you look at. And be aware of the images you look at. Be aware of the movies that you see and the subliminal programming that's in all of that stuff. Be aware. Then you'll begin to disconnect from that, and you'll begin to hear yourself. And that's what will begin opening yourself up to that. You'll begin to put more stock into your own opinion, because only you knows you. Nobody else out there can tell you what's good for you. Nobody can. Doesn't matter who they are, because they are not you. And they don't know you, and they do not know your purpose on this earth, in this lifetime. Only you know that. So you cannot look to anyone else to tell you what that is. And you do have that answer, and you do have access to it when you open yourself up to it. You're going to get through some of these other keys that will show you how that's done, that will begin paving that process for you to do that. But that is the first thing, and that is the most important foundation, is you must look inside and into yourself for any self-worth, any direction, guidance, knowing it's within you. Any approval, it's all within you. Next, it's the distinction between being your true self and the responsibility of that true self. So what do I mean by that? That's the next layer on the foundation of knowing the pure and divine you. When you know who you are, when you have that connection, it's giving yourself the strength to be who you are and not care or not have any concern for that. If you know who you are and you are constantly compromising that to maybe feel safe or feel what you think is going to be safe, feel what you think is going to be accepted, feel what you think is going to give you what you think you want, you compromise who you are. You're not being responsible for your true self. Okay, this key, the distinction between your true self and the responsibility of that true self, is standing in the knowing that that is who you are, and standing in the knowing that being who you are, being true to yourself, is the best way. It is the safest way. It is the, ultimately the safest way. It is the best way to go. Now, as you know these keys, you will know how to do that, because there's different ways you can do anything. Some can create the increase antagonism between people, others reduce it. All right? But when you use these keys, you will automatically be able to express yourself in a way that supports you, that supports what you want, and that supports who you are. So the distinction between being your true self and the responsibility of that true self is knowing that the truth will set you free. Being true to yourself will set you free. All right, just think about it. Being true to yourself, that's taking that step outside of the white supremacist system that is the fabric of this country. And you might be thinking, well, how can you take yourself out of that? Well, you know what? Don't worry about that for now. Just focus on being the keys, and you'll begin to see changes. The more you integrate these into your life, the more you'll begin to see changes on the external. And that's why there's no need to really fear a Trump America. There really isn't. This is the greatest set of, these are the keys to freedom. Okay, think of it that way. All right, now, the next one. Remembering what I've forgotten within myself, and I have no life lessons. See, again, as I shared with you before in the first key, knowing the pure and divine ego, you already have everything that you need inside of you already. It's already there. You don't need to learn it, because you don't need to learn what you already know. You don't need to learn what you already have. And we've been programmed again that we have to learn these things, that we have to take these lessons and go through this and go through that. You don't. You don't. You just need to, again, focus that you already know, and just begin to be true to yourself. And you will connect with that knowing that's inside of yourself. If you're not true to yourself, you cut yourself off from that inner knowing. And you don't have to go through these life lessons. You don't have to go through, going through all of these experiences one after another, to, like, you don't have to continue to go through, one racist experience after another to know that you love yourself already, or to learn, quote unquote, learn how to love yourself. You already do know how to do that. You've just forgotten because of all of the programming that's been done, all of the distractions that are out there, and believe me, they're piled on high and heavy, and they're gonna get piled on even more. Which is, but you don't have to be afraid of that. Only if you believe that you have no choice about it will that affect you. So again, number 3, remember what I have forgotten within myself, and I have no life lessons. So I'm going to stop for now, so this video isn't so long. It's 18 minutes long already, roughly, so I'm going to continue the next 3 keys in the next video. But what I want you to do in closing, I'm going to end the video here. But what I want you to do is just begin to really touch into yourself. What is it that brings you joy? What is it that you love? What is it that you would do without pay? You could do all day, every day. Because that is the thing that you came here to share with the world. That's the thing that will free you. That's the thing that will make life enjoyable for you. It's that. So begin to focus on that, and begin to focus on that. Just start connecting yourself with that. If there's like meditations that you do, or certain music you listen to that kind of quiets your mind and brings the focus inside of you, begin doing that. If you take walks in nature, or take walks outside, you go to the gym, or whatever it is, whatever that activity is. It could be cooking, or knitting, or whatever. I don't know. Whatever that activity is, begin doing it more often so you can connect, because that is the greatest power, and that power no one else has access to. No system of white supremacy, no matter how strong, no matter how invasive and pervasive, it can't touch that. Can't touch that part of you. Can't connect with that. It can't control that. Only if you choose not to use it. So I'm going to end for now, and we'll continue in the next video.